You. Yeah, a little farther, a little far. Yeah, all the way off.
What time are we starting, Johnny?
Here in a second, I think.
Hello, welcome to Acute Mania Live. That was a band called Headphone from California, and the next show's guest, Contranista, is the guitar player from them plays guest on that track. So I wanted to play them. They're a really good band called Headphone. I wanted to thank, for lack of a term, for being on last week. They're really cool guys. They're popping around the cities and things and playing where they can, in the midst of the pandemic. So I want to thank them for being on. Gosh, I always go through a mind fart when I'm thinking of names. You guys ever get that? No, never.
It happens.
Danny Strakel was co-hosting with me last week, and we actually did a spirit box session in my living room. He's a paranormal investigator, so he co-hosted with me last week, and we did a spirit box session in my living room when we were done, and I don't nothing like came through or anything that I know of. I don't know. He was like humming and no, I'm kidding. He wasn't doing that, but but it was interesting. So thanks to him for co-hosting also. This week I have This Earthly Tabernacle. It's a tongue twister. I think I've fumbled it over it a couple times, especially on last episode. But welcome in, guys. Nice to have you on.
Thanks for letting us be here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So we got Johnny down in Charleston, West Virginia, and Clancy is in Chicago.
Right.
Correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Is it getting cold in Chicago yet? Are you guys getting getting any snow?
It's good sleeping weather. It's down in the 60s. Yeah, no, we're not going to get any snow for a month or so.
Yeah. Do you look
Probably.
forward to the snow, or are you not like it at all?
I like snow. Okay, snow's all right.
I don't really like it. I don't like
for like the first hour.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's pretty. I don't like the cold, especially. I'm not made for the cold.
He's a Southern boy.
Are you from there, Chicago originally?
No, I grew up in Virginia, in Richmond, where Johnny's from.
Oh, so you guys grew up together pretty much then.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was that? Was he good to you when you were younger?
It's a funny story.
Funny story. This was his band when I was in high school, Cook Line.
That's
Another
awesome.
tongue twister.
And
Yeah.
and they made this record, and I was a year behind him in school, or two, one or two. And
What year was that? What year was that? Do you know? Right off.
was this 85?
No, I think it came out in 88. I think.
I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
I was even thinking about doing podcasting.
The
Anyway,
lyrics were written by an 8-year-old.
It was inspirational to me, to my 8th grade self. I was inspired.
You should have sent me some tracks. I would have played it at the beginning. That would have been
Ooh. No.
Yeah, I have to digitize it. I don't know if there's a digital version of it.
No.
It's a
When you get
work
that-
in progress.
When you get that, make sure you send it to me. I'll use it for future episodes.
But like, his band recorded with Mitch Easter, and we were like, holy shit.
No,
You know,
Dave
Mitch
Dave
Easter.
Grumback.
Dave Grumbach.
Close.
That's what he
Well,
meant.
the story was it was
Yeah.
Mitch Easter.
Yeah, there were a lot of stories. There were a lot of stories back there. No, Dave Grumback, and I don't remember how he's I think Dave Grumback worked with Mitch. They worked together or something.
Should I know
Basically, Johnny's band made this record, and it made it real for us. That we're like, holy cow! If he can do that, we can do that.
Right.
So we were on the train.
Any no
like-
talent schlub can press a record and
it was an
record.
inspiration.
I was on an album also not quite that long ago. Gosh, when was that? Probably 05 or so. I was in a band called the Acoustic Solution, and it was as my buddy played guitar and sang. I played drums. I dabble on the drums, and we had another buddy who played saxophone. It was just the three of us, and we did a record. It was half cover songs and half originals. That's the only thing that I've ever been a part of, like actually pressed on an album, like a CD. So
Cool. Everyone should do it. At
It's
least once.
impressive.
an
It's
experience.
just the smell of it is
Well,
intoxicating.
like sitting in the producer's like living room with his dog and his wife and stuff, and we're mastering the track on his computer was an experience.
Sure.
That was fun.
Yeah.
So
Good
it
stuff.
was very low budget. It sounded good though. I mean, it sounded really really good, and we got it looks like a CD. It's not like
That's
a burn.
great.
Yep.
I don't know.
Right. Yeah. No, the whole process of you've created this thing,
Yeah.
that you can actually hold. It's pretty neat.
And you can share it with people and hand it to them. Yeah.
Right.
It's a really cool thing. So how did you guys? Is it Johnny? Is this Earthly Tabernacle? Is it your creation, or is it you all as a whole?
Well, okay, so I'll give you a quick rundown on it. So I took a break from playing music for a long time, and I wanted to get back into it. And so I had some songs, and you got to name it something. And so I decided to, instead of because I did it before in New York City, my first band, we moved to New York City and we played for a while and we couldn't really break through. And honestly, we just, weren't good enough, and we didn't have any connections, and, it was just tough, like most musicians know. And so the band kind of broke up, and I stayed around in New York for a while and played solo and recorded solo stuff and had a little 3-piece band with some friends and just, under my name, so when I started playing again, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go back to the, I'm Johnny Smith, I'm going to promote me. So I came up with this name, this Earthly Tabernacle. And so my idea was it'd be like a project. So if I wanted to bring people in on recordings or live, it just was really flexible. So this Earthly Tabernacle could be me at the Empty Glass in Charleston playing just me singing an acoustic guitar, or, it could be me in keys and a fiddle, or me in a full band. And so that was the whole idea, was to make it kind of flexible. I could expand it or contract it depending on, who's willing to work with me at any given moment, which is sometimes it's questionable. So I did an EP in a recording studio in Lexington, Virginia in 2020 right right as the pandemic hit, and so obviously
Yeah.
didn't get to do much with that. And then I moved back to Charleston and started recording and came up with this idea. And then Clancy and I had always been knocking around like, hey, we need to do something together. And I really, really wanted to. And so he had some time and he was gracious enough to kind of commit to it. And, not just sending tracks, but helping me formulate the concept and where we want to go. And we kind of adopted some like interesting tactics, I think, and it's working so far. And so that's pretty much it.
Now, who else is on the project with you guys?
Well, basically it's me and Clancy. A friend of mine from Cincinnati, Ohio, did the very sparse drums for the first song that I sent you. Her name's Shannon Roll, and then Sylvia Peck, who is the artist who is doing the graphic design. We're also doing like a graphic novella, like a adult comic book that goes along with this record. One can explain about that if you want, but she played a little bit of kind of cosmic ukulele that we put in the mix. And then another friend of ours, Sean Harris, who lives in New York City, who's a musician and an actor in New York, that Clancy and I knew from Richmond. And all three of us work together in the same restaurant. And he plays some really good guitar leads on the Rattlesnake. And we're going to hopefully get him back in. But there's other people, that we kind of have in mind. We're technically not even a quarter or almost a quarter of the way through what I would kind of envisioning as the whole project. So, if I had my druthers, I would have a double album, and then every cool musician that I love, who's a friend of mine, we'd all play together. And then the night before I pass into eternity, we could all play a show and everybody be on stage together. It'd be Rob Williams and Will Jones and Hamby and Rob and everybody, John Goschalk and the whole world, there's always room for one more on stage. So, but realistically, there'll be hopefully some other players on the rest of the work.
Oh, I've been trying to. Eventually, I'll quit saying this, but lately I've been trying to play one of the tracks, early in the show. That way, people can kind of hear what you're about. And
Sure.
the first one I have loaded up is I gotta say this right. Out of the Silent Planet Pleiades. Is that how you say Pleiades?
Right. It's two songs kind of smashed together for the. If you follow our page, the whole thing is we want to kind of it's not only a concept album thematically, but musically, so we want to have kind of movements and reprises. And in fact, the album is called Reprise, which is in musical parlance, it's a piece of music that's repeated in a body of work for emphasis or for nuance. So we kind of smashed these two songs together to begin the record. And I think it works. And Pleiades, if you don't know, is a constellation.
Yeah. Well, let's take a listen to it, and
I'm going to pee.
I'll try not to tongue twister again. This earthly tabernacle, out of the Silent Planet Pleiades. You got to come up with easier things to say. All right, let's take a listen. It's very peaceful. It seems like.
Yeah, it starts off a little more noisy and sort of devolves into.
Yeah, you kind of don't know where it's going to go, but where it does land is it's very peaceful.
Yeah.
It was kind of an accident. So like I was recording it at home, and Clancy put the parts on it, and then we just kind of dropped out a few things, and I was like, man, it sounds like outer space, and that's where kind of the whole concept
Yeah.
came from. But yeah, I agree that when Shannon put the drums on that, I was like, we're going for this lazy Southern California country
Yeah,
rock
trees
sound.
swaying like in the yeah, or
Yeah,
the tropical tree or the palm trees swaying in the breeze, something like that. Yeah,
yeah,
I'd listen to that at the beach.
sure.
You know? I'm trying. Okay, I was when I was talking to you before we went live. I was saying, I kind of had a writer's block with the description for the event, and that's a good thing, I think, because it makes my mind go somewhere different. Like I usually sit and listen to the tracks and just kind of see where my mind goes, and um, just type it, just start typing, and if that looks good, I'll put it up. But I did that several times with nothing. There was like I couldn't explain it. What I guess what my question would be is, how would you explain it to someone that hasn't heard it? Just say you're walking up to somebody, check out our band. This is what we sound like.
Clancy, you want to go for that one?
I'd I'd put their headphones on and press play.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can do it.
Because it is kind of different. The three tracks that I have are different, and especially with the next one I have loaded up is Rattlesnake, but we'll wait a little bit before we play it. But that one's entirely in Spanish, so it's just kind of like we went from this peaceful, spacey palm trees and things to Mexico, really, right?
Well, kind of, sort of.
Okay.
So there's two ideas going on. It's a Western and it's set in space. Well, so stylistically, and it's an opera, which means that it's one cohesive unit. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It tells a story. It has characters. There's a dramatic element to it. Um, but musically, so we had this idea of Western and in space. And so, um, so there's going to be a little bit of, so there's like some songs coming up there might hear on like the style you might hear on a spaghetti Western, an old Clint Eastwood movie or
That'd be awesome.
or many others. But so the rattlesnake, or as it's known as a traditional Mexican folk song, is called El Cascabel. So that fit naturally into the Western idea, because if we're taking elements of this genre of not only film and literature, and I use that word loosely for some Westerns, like Louis L'Amour or whatever, but it definitely, when you get into Cormac McCarthy, you're talking about literature. But so the Mexican component makes sense in that context. But then at the same time, there's this idea of space, and the whole story is telling this. The whole album is telling the story, where we have a main character. He's there's other characters, which is the crew. And they're actually on this journey. There's a journey, a chronological development. And so the song opens, the beginning of the song opens, ostensibly we're trying to get this idea of leaving Earth, of blasting off, and then getting that feel, the space feel that you get kind of in the segue, and then the lazy country, Southern California country rock kind of comes in. But so I can go ahead and kind of set up the rattlesnake.
Yeah.
That song, as I said, it's an old traditional Mexican folk song. In the 70s, they built a space capsule called Voyager. I'm sure you've heard of it.
Sure, yeah.
And
It's still out
on
there. It's still floating around, isn't it?
it's still going out there from what we know. But on it, they put a record that was actually gold plated. So I'm correcting any errors that we've talked about in previous podcasts because I did some more research. A gold plated record, and it has a bunch of music on it from Earth. I think it's got,
Yeah, that they put on the ship.
yeah, it's got some classical music. I can't remember. I don't know if it's Beethoven. It's probably Beethoven, or
Did they put Elvis on there too? I think
maybe. I haven't looked at
I
the
read
whole
that
track
somewhere too.
listing.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny.
But so this traditional Mexican song is on it as well.
Oh, really?
And it's just a very simple song. It's been covered by, I don't know how many times, 117 times, I think, over
But you
the
have to be able to
years.
speak like, well, I guess you don't have to fluently speak it Spanish, but you got to know how to say all the words and things.
Yeah, well, I mean, thank God for Google. I don't know what
Yeah,
I would
really.
have done if this was the 80s. But so yeah, I looked at the lyrics both in English and in Spanish, and I am not a fluent Spanish speaker by any stretch of the imagination.
Well,
I've
listening
worked
to it, it sounds like you are. I mean, it sounds like
well,
you can
I've
say
worked in
something.
a lot of restaurants in New York City, and predominantly the front of the house was manned by out of work musicians and actors,
Yeah.
and the back of the house was run by Hispanic immigrants.
And they all
So
spoke the same language.
yeah, so if you really, I mean, and just to be a decent human being, we would try to befriend the people that you're working
Yeah.
with, and one of the best ways to do that is to at least attempt to communicate with them in their own language. That
Yeah, it
would be
really is.
nice.
You would
um
think.
Plus it was nice. So but anyway, so the song the song is kind of enigmatic. Like, on the surface it seems really simple. There's a boy and a girl, and essentially the guy gives this girl that he's in love with, he gives her this El Casca bell, which is like a little jingle bell rattle, kind of traditional. It's not a bell like a Western bell with the clapper. It's like a jingle bell, but it's more, you shake it like a rattle. So and apparently he gave her this very nice little musical trinket as a gift, because he was in love with her. And then in the second verse, it gets kind of weird. Um, like the people in the little town, ask her where she got it, and she says, like, cryptically, she goes, "Oh, I just went out and bought it, and if you want one like it, you can go out and buy one too." Which is not what happened at all. The guy gave it to her, right? And so you're like scratching your head, like, it's kind of a slight, right?
Yeah.
And then farther along, as you get into the song, um, then right, she like tells him to go sing a sad song, or sing sing a song in a minor key. So she's kind of like blowing him off. That's the vibe that you get, that he's in love with her, and it's unrequited love, and she's kind of dissing him. And then the weird part comes when the word El Cascabel is also the same Spanish word used for the North American rattlesnake, which is where we got our title from.
That's
And he's talking in the song, he's talking about his bell in the sand, right? His little bell in the sand. So now it like becomes more sinister, I think, personally.
yeah.
So like, now it's not just a fancy little trinket. Now there's some sort of vengeful thing going on, where possibly, like, because he's been jilted, because he's been publicly humiliated, he gets his revenge by perhaps planting a rattlesnake in her house. Because then it goes like, now, if you read it the second way, yeah, I've got this snake and I'm going to give it to my love, and she can play with it till the morning comes,
Oh man,
this
that
idea.
is sinister. My goodness, yeah.
So that's where, well, we went with it. So anyway, I don't know.
Sylvia says space Mexico.
Space Mexico.
A little bit ago. We were talking about the ship and everything.
So I don't know, maybe if you want to, maybe a good time to play it now. Oh, I forgot. So we got to tie it in. So in the album, in the story, all right, so our crew, the ship, our main character, they're flying through space, and this guy, like all Western anti-heroes, he's got a checkered past or something. We don't know what's going on, but Apparently somebody's after him, whether it's the law, the government, or creditors, or we don't know, but somebody's coming after him. And in the second song here, the rattlesnake, they get attacked, as you'll hear in the song, by some unknown entity. And fortunately, in the story, they had purchased this hardware, this weapon system on the ship from this alien society based on the moon Io, which orbits Jupiter. And this race of sentient robots found the album on the Voyager, interpreted the song as some sort of revenge song, and used it to program their weapon system, and made them very, very, very effective. And so our main character and his crew escaped the clutches of this entity that's pursuing them by employing the military hardware that utilized the song El Cascabel from the Voyager spaceship, the record that was on board. So that's the story right there.
So, and that's going to be part of the novella you were telling me about, right? We'll
Yes.
tie that in after the song. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Here's the rattlesnake.
Pictures would help.
What is it?
Pictures would help.
Pictures. Yeah. But let's check out the rattlesnake.
Incoming missile.
Upon a purple ribbon, I heard a bell. Und sie Demokrata, ja mit Cascabel. Y como errate because it glittered, I gave it to my love. Shaking baby with the chill the morning comes. Oh, how it shakes and it rings. It shakes and it's shaking my bells. Anoche por la ventana, platicando con mi amor. I spoke with my love last night. Shakes and it's shaking my bells. Maybe I'll get golden up. She told me to sing in a minor key.
Sean.
He
Sean
shreds. Oh my
I
god.
know.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's Sean Harris on the lead guitar.
Amazing.
Second lead guitar number 2. So he cut his teeth on all like hardcore and math rock and the birthday party, and but then he likes um shoot, what's the band that just played in New York that he
Cheap
loves?
Trick.
Yes. And so it's just that reminds me of I Want You to Want Me, just the way he's bending those notes in there. That's pretty cool.
Sylvia said, she said, "You're a ridiculous person, Johnny." And then she said, "There's that interstellar uke."
Interstellar ukulele. Yeah, we put this weird effect on it. It sounds like it's on some sort of tape delay manipulation. It's pretty cool. And
There's a lot
it's
of effects in that, really. There's a lot of vocal effects and
sound effects.
lots
So
of
there's
effects.
there
Yeah, there's
we
a
could
truck backing up at one point that I thought was outside my house when I was listening.
that's what it does sound like. Unfortunately, it's supposed to be some sort of like hull breach sensor or something like
Oh, it
that.
wasn't a truck backing up?
No, it's not supposed to be a
Well,
truck.
that's what I thought was happening.
Yeah, it's
And
all right.
my cat, because I, surround sound in my living room, so my cat was just all over the place. Like, with
It was
great. It was the best. I was like, "What's wrong?" He's like,
it's worth the price of admission for just the
It was
cat
very
fiasco.
Yes.
Yeah, so we could do a whole podcast one time where we should on like sound effects and popular music. So there's a
Speaking
lot
you
of
guys do
them.
a podcast though, correct? I stumbled upon you guys on Facebook the other night. The
Yeah,
four
we've
of you
done
on a podcast.
we've done 2 so far, just kind of trying to explain to our 3 fans what we're doing.
Same group that watches me, probably.
Yeah, well, we'll band together. We'll have 6.
Yeah, that's right. We'll collab.
That's right.
So you might is that just to talk about the record, or what all you guys get into?
Yeah, well, I always wanted to do a podcast, and Sylvia and I have this idea. We're gonna do like a hee haw podcast one day. It's gonna be like a variety show with musicians and jokes and stuff like that.
I'm sure it hasn't been done before.
Yeah, no, like half burlesque and half like hee haw. So like a more racy hee haw.
like a explicit
Right.
content hee-haw.
Hee haw was kind of racy there. They had all the Daisy Duke shorts and the gingham shirts all tied up, and it's a little too much for 13-year-olds. But back in 1970, whatever.
Isn't it amazing how the amount of things that they got away with, like before, like FCC guidelines and all that stuff, and
Well, I know one thing, that all those dudes were high.
Wasn't everybody back in the 70s?
Buck
was a
Owens and
fair-
those guys, they were having way too much fun playing bluegrass, but they must have been smoking weed before.
What's your all's influences between individually? So like Clancy, what's your like number one influence musically, person wise or band wise?
Oh, that's a good one. It depends on what mood I'm in. I really I love guitar because I've been playing guitar since I was little. I was inspired by Johnny and his band, and Rob Williams and my friend Will. We all cut our teeth. We were playing like I don't know, Romantics covers and U2 and REM.
REM, yeah.
Right. So that's what we learned on, and then we just started writing our own stuff. But I've always leaned more towards like the Sonic Youth end of the spectrum. Um, but I like any music as long as it's interesting and authentic.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. How about you,
It can be.
Johnny? What's your go-to?
Well, so I would differentiate between latent influences and intentional influences. And so like a latent or unintentional influences, I had one of those 70s alarm clocks with the numbers that would flip over, the little cars,
Yeah.
they go flip flip, and I would listen to the FM radio every night while I slept. And it was just, I think it was XL 102 was the one in Richmond, Virginia. And so it was just 60s and 70s rock, because that's all there, there wasn't, that we weren't even in the 80s yet. And so I would actually sleep and have 70s radio as the soundtrack while I was sleeping. And I do not recommend this for parents, because you'll end up like me. So I just was messed up. Like literally, I had a dream one time when David Bowie's Fame was playing on the radio, and I was dreaming that he was a prisoner, and he was imprisoned in my pillow and was singing out of the pillow. I actually had that dream. It affected me deeply. I mean, deeply. I'm kind of, I don't know what it did to me, but it probably was not good. And then I literally woke up to the sound of thunder one summer night, and Bob Seger's Night Moves was playing, and he was singing about woke last night to the sound of thunder, and I would just woken up to the sound of thunder, and it was some sort of like cosmic confluence of meteorology and classic hits. And so that messed me up, man. Like, I just I've always wanted to play music, and then so then when you get to start choosing music, I went through the 80s when was big into for the 80s. I was big into the Police. Like I knew every song the Police ever recorded. And so just stuff like that. Stray Cats. I went through a Pat Benatar phase, the first album I ever bought, and this is good as kind of tying it back in. The first album I ever bought was The Wall.
Ooh.
And so you get The Wall, and you really don't know anything about the world, right?
Yeah.
And so I got it, and I'm just looking at the art, this double album, and the art is just off the chain, right? And the music's off the chain. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm going to steal a line from Sturgill Simpson, who said this on the Joe Rogan podcast, and it is the ultimate compliment to any band. Like when you get their music and you're holding the album and you're sitting on the floor in your basement and you're going, what the F is going on? Like the band is like some sort of mad scientists in their secret laboratory, and they've done this thing, and now you're trying to figure out what in the world it is. And so that's what I wanted this project to be, one of those things where like it's just, there's so much in it, and it's just bizarre and weird and strange and kind of psychedelic, and there's a story and there's art to go along with it. And I wanted to recreate that magic, of music and visuals, and like just trying to sort out and figure out what is going on here. And then of course the music has to be good though. That's the hard part. That's the real hard
Sylvia,
part.
That's where Sylvia comes in, right? Is
Yes.
You're writing you're writing pretty much a big play. It's that's kind of what I'm getting from it. And
Right.
and each song is a part of the scene, kind of like a musical, but better than a musical, And she is doing the art for it. So will this be a video, or will this be like a book with the?
Well, I want to, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. I'd like to actually produce a book, with her art in it, and it'll have some other things. It'll have maybe have some lyrics, and it'll have other pertinent information that you would find on, like, when in grand old days of music, when it was all albums and no streaming, and the album had art, it had information, there was some mystery stuff, Easter eggs as they call them now, hidden
Stickers.
Yeah.
Stickers, whatever, and so and Sylvia, she's great, and I asked her to help me with this, and she'd never done anything like this. She's, been kind of like a amateur artist in her hometown, and she's done it purely for fun and never really professional, on this scale. And she was like, I don't know what I'm doing. But I was like, that's okay, neither do we. So she's been a trooper, man, and she's done some really great stuff. If you go to our Facebook page, there's links there, and we have a cache of all of the artwork. She's ahead of the story a little bit. We've got some artwork that she's done for songs that have yet to be completed, and it's just really, really amazing stuff. And
You probably haven't even thought of this yet, but do you plan on a part 2 of this story once the album's complete and you're ready to go on to something else? Are you going to do a next like a part 2?
Well, who knows, but we haven't even, so the whole, if you kick around our page, you'll see this little hashtag we use called in real time and in public. So we're basically writing the songs and recording them as we go.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. I don't know how the story goes yet, because we haven't gotten there. We haven't finished writing it.
It's still going.
Yeah. Ultimately I like a runtime around 45 minutes. I think that's pretty classic as far as albums are concerned, about as much as one person can devote to a single sitting of a piece of musical work. And but like, for instance, the song that we're getting ready to hear here in a few minutes was it was recorded about the same time that Rattlesnake, a little bit after Rattlesnake. And all the post-production and the artwork was done during a time just recently. I was in the hospital, and I was actually called.
Right?
What?
Not for COVID.
No, not for COVID. I was actually calling Sylvia from the hospital phone and phoning in directions, and she was kind of working with Clancy and about the visually how it should be. And then when I got out of the hospital, we did a video for it. You can find on our page. And I'm not going to go into too much detail. You'll have to figure out on your own, but personally what happened and why I was in the hospital kind of got written into the album unintentionally. I mean, we didn't intend to do that, but it was what was going on. Sure. And so we're still writing. I'll be going in and put some basic tracks down in the studio that everyone can add to in October, November, and December, Lord willing. And then, we're writing as we go, and the things that are happening to us every day are finding their way into the work.
So you don't really have like a set time that the album will be complete, even, or do you? Like
well,
date,
I was hoping it would be done by now, but I mean, we're not doing this professionally. I mean, we both have jobs and lives and responsibilities, and it'd be nice to be a full-time musician, and that's all you do,
Wouldn't it be?
It'd be nice, you just get up, make coffee, and just go to work. It'd be great, but
you don't even have to get up, really. Just get up and just lay there.
So, I'd like to have it done by early next year, and then maybe play some shows, like hop around and play some shows, hop over to Chicago and maybe to Richmond and New York, and then I'll probably start playing, like trying to get into the scene here in Charleston and playing some solo acoustic stuff. And
you have to come up here and play a show in the studio here, and
sure,
do a live stream sometime. Bring the whole
okay
band.
That sounds great.
When you guys do your little tour, stop by here. Hey, look, let's take a listen to "God How the Stars Did Fall." Okay. I really like this one too. This one seems to be peaceful. Was it meant to be? Is it sort of tie in the story like towards the end of the story, or?
No, these first three songs are actually chronological, and if I could piece it into the story, so our main character has become disillusioned with the human race, essentially. We're not given a lot of details, but a lot of it has to do with the direction that humanity has gone continually, kind of like, getting stupider and stupider, as we all do. I mean, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not blaming this faction or that faction or this group or that group. It's just all of us, we're just, together we just tend to mess things up. We try to make them better, and just
Sometimes
it's
that
not
makes it
working.
worse.
It's not working. So our main character is just kind of, he's wishes he could just like, okay, I'm out of here, man. I can't take it anymore. And then, but that old saying that wherever you go, there you are,
Yeah.
So he finds, as he goes on and beginning in this song and into the next two songs that we'll be producing here in October, that, he's part of the problem too. Like, it's not, you can't just like say, well, it's them over there or it's all of them and I'm okay. It's like, we're all, each person is part of the problem. We all have things that we need to address and straighten out. And if there's going to be any type of progress, we have to deal with our own issues first. So that's kind of the setup. It's a hopeful song, though. I will say that it's a very hopeful song.
It's kind of uplifting in a way.
It is. And just to throw something else in there, and especially if you see the video, it to me, it blends. Okay, so we're out in outer space and we're on a ship, but like notoriously in pop culture, like outer space and ships have been kind of linked to earthly seagoing ships. And I like the song because it's kind of got that rolling kind of almost like a martial beat, where you're keeping time or rowing, or the steady roll of the waves coming in and kind of plodding along, and it's kind of slow motion. Like seafaring is kind of slow motion, and outer space travel is kind of like slow motion. It's all like
I
submarine.
wonder why we haven't named like a spaceship the Mayflower. You know what I mean?
We could,
That'd be
yeah,
clever.
it would
You
be
think,
clever.
but it doesn't really sound outer spacey though. I guess like Voyager sounds like,
Right, absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think of things.
That's good. I'm
I
glad.
ponder things. Let's take a listen to "God How the Stars Did Fall."
All right. Oh, by the way, real quick,
Sure. Go ahead.
this is Clancy. Clancy wrote this, and he played all the instruments and sang it, wrote the lyrics,
Really? So
and
this is all Clancy then. That's why it says Clancy on.
except for the sound effects. I did the sound effects.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
God, how the stars did fall as we carom between them. Our ship's fateful freight, the weight of our grateful fate. Our solar sails pitted and hewn, our woolen weft hang loose on the loom. Now I see it all. God, how the stars did fall. We'll bless our feast with ancient word. The shank of Helios is heard. The fatted calf, the surly goose. That rascal sow who set him loose. The noble plate, fuel for a king. A taste of everything. Now I see it all. God, how the stars did
listen closely, you can hear a heartbeat here.
I did hear a heartbeat there.
Yeah, it's almost imperceptible. You can
That
just
part
feel
where
it.
that part where your voice gets really low, Clancy. It almost sounds like a didgeridoo.
That's part of the sound effects. That's a
Okay.
Tuvan
I
throat
thought you
singer.
could really sing that low. I was amazed.
No.
I was like, wait a minute now.
Nah, that's not it. I can't do that.
Have you
Yeah.
tried? I mean, you might be able to do it. Don't sell yourself short. But that
Maybe someday. Maybe
I was listening
someday.
to that part like before you guys came on. I was listening to it in my headphones because you can just hear so much more about a song in headphones than you can just when it's in the room.
Oh, sure.
And when it got to that part, I was like, wait a minute, I don't know if that's a sound effect or a didgeridoo or what, but that's really good vocals. That's what
I thought I like it too.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
it fits it right where it's at. It fits. I wish it would have gone a little bit longer. Maybe did some didgeridoo-ish things, but
We can loop you in earlier on the next one, so you can get some of those. You can help us make some of these choices. It's a
Hey,
collaborative effort, and I think that's the point, right? It's
That
a
is the
group
point.
effort.
yeah.
That is the
Can't
point.
we
You guys
can't do
find
it alone?
difficult? Is it? You guys find it more difficult, or not as difficult? I guess there's a lot of bands doing, with the pandemic and all. You have to do things separately. Like in other at your house and things. You can't really practice together and put your ideas together in real time. Do you guys find that difficult or no effect, or what do you think of that? Doing this record.
Well, I'd love to sit in a room and play guitar with Johnny and Ricky Tubb, who's been involved with some of this too. He's a drummer. I'd love to get in a room with him and Johnny and actually play. I would really like that, but it's unfortunate. But we're lucky now. We have this. We have like there's bandlab.com where you can get on, and it's a browser-based multi-track recording format. It's awesome. You can
That's fun.
it's a great idea.
It's certainly not as pleasurable doing it this way.
Oh no.
And
No.
it has its drawbacks too. Like when you're doing basic tracks too, like being like a poor Shannon, like she was putting the drums on it, and like not when you play in a room together, especially when you're doing like drums and bass or drums, bass, guitar, like you see everybody moving, right?
There's energy there.
Yeah, and not just the energy, but like
You
I'm
can
kind of
see the
moving.
one. You
Yeah.
can see
Yeah,
where the
you-
one is. Sometimes you
yeah,
can't always tell when you're just listening.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I mean that's just the way
Now,
it is. But-
Johnny, on that track, were you playing a cymbal with your hand? That towards the end was it? Right? Is that what I could hear there? There was a cymbal there, but it sounded like somebody was like hitting it with their hand. It was that kind of a sound.
It was with a mallet.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense then. Yeah.
It had fabric on the end of it, so it doesn't sound
Yeah.
like a regular drumstick.
Yep. That's what I heard.
Yep.
It's these ears. Hey, I appreciate you guys coming on the show. It was a lot of fun. And I
Yeah, it
learned a
was.
lot about. I think that's what it was though. I didn't really know what was going on with the songs. Why I couldn't write anything about it. I was like, what? I was trying to figure it out just over and over again. It's phenomenal. It's really good, really great musicianship, and I can't wait to hear it as a story, and see.
Me neither.
I guess see it. I guess but I guess see it also, because we'll be able to see it too.
Yeah, well, hopefully that'd be great. And we really appreciate you inviting us on here. We wish you luck with your podcast, and
Thank
I'll
you.
do whatever I can to help you promote it. And
I am getting
Mine
a new
limited.
microphone here pretty soon, so that should help if this one didn't sound very. I'm getting a buddy of mine's got a nice Audio Technica he's going to sell to me. So
sweet.
Nice.
that'll be good. I'm constantly upgrading. It's the banner was an upgrade. Of course, it wasn't much of an upgrade, but it was a banner. I needed
It
something.
looks nice.
Yeah.
Needed something to take with me to go out and do shows at actual venues and things, and I've only done that once. went to a house party down in Princeton, below Charleston, way below Charleston, down at near the border, and it was just a house party, and it was too dark, so I didn't even. But I did get it out, and I had all the bands that were playing. I had them sign the back of it, so all the back is signatures. So I
Oh,
think
nice.
I'll start doing that. I think when I take it out to places, I'll have whoever's playing sign the back. I don't know.
Sweet.
Traditions here and there. But I've been changing the marquee for the last song. I got this at Target last two Christmases ago. It was on sale, and I was like, this would be a nice present for me. So I got it for myself. And the girl I was dating at the time, she said, "What are you gonna do with that?" I said, "What am I not gonna do with that?" Showed her, didn't I? I showed
That's
her.
right.
So on this last song here, I'm gonna change that to Contranistas is gonna be on Thursday. I didn't
Looking
even know
forward to
until I was looking at the next last week when I was looking at next week on the calendar. I was like, I booked 2 shows in the same week, but I think I've done 4 before in the same week. But sometimes it's not good to do that many in a week. Like just back to back. As much as I enjoy doing it, it's just sometimes it's too much. I don't know. But anyway, I got Contranistas on Thursday at 10 Eastern because they're in California. Bakersfield, California is where they're out of.
Bakersfield,
So
right on.
7 Pacific, their time. And it's just 2 of them, Robert Morgan and Dax Dominiguez. I hope I'm saying that right. Just 2 guys, and it's instrumental music, and they use a lot of looping and synths, and it's fun. So that'll be a good show also. But I definitely I thank you guys for being on the show.
Thank you. Well, let's stay in touch, and maybe we'll get together
If
sometime.
you got a little bit of time, stay on for about 5 minutes after I kill the live stream, just so I can chat with you for a second. If you got
Sure.
the time.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, here's Contranistas with Memory Divided by Time, and we'll see you Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern.